Happy Easter from Trinity Place in Geneva, New York. My name is Cameron Miller. I begin with a piece of that poem that we had, The Sun, by Mary Oliver. And have you felt for anything such wild love? Do you think there is anywhere, in any language, a word billowing enough for the pleasure that fills you as the sun reaches out, as it warms you, as you stand there, empty-handed? Well, really, Mark has met Mary Oliver and raised her bid. Mark ends his gospel at an empty tomb from which his closest friend, Jesus' closest friends, run away, shaking with dread, and tell no one, for they were afraid. This is Mark's answer to Mary Oliver's question, do you think there is anywhere, in any language, a word billowing enough to describe that experience? His answer is no. Mary, and Salome, who, by the way, the Gospel of Thomas says are disciples, had braved everything else that the men were too scared to withstand. But this one thing, this empty tomb, was too much even for them. Something so terrifying, they told no one. I want to be simply present to their fear. And I want to respect Mark's silence. I want to recognize that there is no word or words billowing enough to hold the moment that we're pointing at. I don't want to be one of those preachers who yammers on about things that he or she has no business speculating about because they don't know. And I don't want to be one of those pastors who at the graveside tells the family that God wanted their son or daughter or parent or spouse in an attempt to fill a terrible gap and an empty tomb that all of us look into more than once in our lifetimes. Instead, I want to be Mary Oliver, who recognizes that there is no word or words billowing enough to deliver anything sensible on this day. I want to be Mark, who understands the story never ends and does not try to tie it all together and put a bow on it. You may have a grand theory about what this story is about, and you may have all kinds of speculations that fill in all those gaps, but I'm going to be so bold as to say you don't know. The Archbishop don't know, the Pope don't know, the Dalai Lama don't know, the preacher, the teacher, the physicist, and the biologist don't know. Matthew, Luke, and John were not content to leave off where Mark does, running away from an empty tomb and telling no one, for they were afraid. But they didn't know either. What is our problem? What is our problem? What is it about us that we can't stand in awe of mystery? And we can't simply be present to it and have our presence to the mystery be enough? What is it about us that we have to color every box and shape and leave nothing empty at the edges? You see, this story from Mark brings us back to the mountaintop where Moses crouched down and hid between the rocks and watched God pass by, but only God's backside, because to look upon the face of the Creator of all that is to die. We cannot look upon God. We cannot know God. The teeny tiny part that we are does not get to see or know or understand the whole of which it is so big and we are such a small piece. We only get little glimpses, traces of fragrance, a mere scent or reverberation of what has already passed by. That's all we get. And to have any more would be to disappear into the holy ether. So today, we celebrate the end of our story. Isn't that fantastic? We celebrate the end of our story. We celebrate the end, which is a brazen total mystery pointing towards something that is infinite. We live one day at a time in the midst of the infinite. Let's just hold that. We live one day at a time in the midst of the infinite. We live in a restricted zone, unable to leave it without dying first. And all around us, on every side and in every moment, is the infinite that cannot be restricted to any place, but which moves constantly through our space, like a spring wind carrying the hope of summer. Well, that's the best I can do at saying something about such wild love, that there is nothing in any language, no word billowing enough for the pleasure of standing here empty-handed in the presence of such mystery. May you have a wonderful, blessed, peaceful, and loving Easter. Amen.